Not yet. Oh, we have one.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to our live AMA sessions. We're joined by Sai and Hector.
Hello.
So we have a few questions from our Instagram question story. So
Before that, we're doing this after a while, I guess. We didn't manage to do this the whole of January. Uh, Busy with the end of the year stuff, busy with headphone connector started. So we hope to see some of you there as well. We'll be hosting Headphone Connect Mumbai at the end of this month, the 28th of Feb, and followed by the rest of the cities. Hyderabad's coming up after that, Bangalore, Delhi, so on and so forth. So yeah, we're hoping to keep this momentum. We want to do an AMA next week as well. So we're going to start the first AMA this year, I guess.
Yeah, and we're actually right back on time. We're back at a very special week for a certain set of people. Not what you're thinking, it's Raghav's birthday week, not Valentine's I'm talking about.
So yeah, let's hit us with the first question.
a question from our Instagram follower. I listen to 3 to 4 hours of daily. I listen to 3 to 4 hours daily. Love EDM/rock and want fun bass, but I am sensitive to sharp treble and get fatigue. Warner SG2 or Caster Pro X, which is better for long term comfort? Also, Type C versus 3.5 cable. Any real difference? Any other IEM recommendations around 2500 max?
I mean, there are plenty, to be honest, and both the ones that you've mentioned, the Warner SG2 and the Caster, they have slight bit of spicy treble in them. I would say if you want balance with extended bass, you have the Warner SG, and if at all you want slightly bit more engaging, you have the Blonde BL03, the second gen. So both are good. And coming to your question for 3.5 and Type C, it depends. Now, if you prefer convenience over sound quality, you could end up getting the Type C one, and you're streaming music, then that more or less does the job. But if you prefer sound quality over convenience and you need that high resolution sound and you have your own FLAC files and you have your own library, only then getting an external DAC makes sense, because not only the DAC but there's an amplification chip which just improves the dynamic range of the drivers. So you get better sound, whereas this Type C is completely focused on convenience.
Okay.
Yeah, what he said, and I guess the new Tanzu, I guess it's called the Red Lion, that you can consider because this has this fun dynamic bass kind of tuning. The 7 Hz 02 is another one of these IEMs. I think most of the people who come to me with this exact same issue of being sensitive to higher frequencies, the 02 works beautifully. So yeah, these are some things that should be in your shop list.
Okay, we have a question from a YouTube viewer. Hi guys, your opinion on the Kiwi Years Quartet?
Fun, I don't know. It's one of those first IEMs to get you the kind of dip switches and all of that to change tuning. But overly bassy, I think it's going for a lot of that sub bass, impact down there. So your EDM guys, your Skrillex guys, all love the quartet. But I'm not a very big bass set. It wouldn't be a set in my collection, at least my go-to daily set. But fun to rotate around.
I mean, the same for me as well. I am someone who listens to EDM a lot. But the problem with me is when the bass is a bit too over exaggerated, it kind of affects the mid range and you just lose the feel or the melodies and the layers of the music. So I tend to shift away from them. But people who are used to that extra bass, they just need that air pushed. For them, I think it's pretty insane.
Alright, we have another one from YouTube. Which are the best closed back headphones under 30k?
Couple of options. I think Fio's doing a fantastic job with closed back headphones. So the FT1 would always be a recommendation, and 90% of the year you will see this sold out. The moment the stocks come in, they fly out, and for good reason. The new Meze as well, the 99 Classics, I think that's stretching it slightly above 30,000. But Meze know what they're doing. It's going for a bit more colored sound, it's more fun, it's more bassy, more body to the headphone. But yeah, these are the two I'd consider in the 30K range.
I mean, yes. Initially, the Meze 99 is the Neo, and even the Classics is like it has been my go-to headphone for listening music casually in office working hours. And even the FT13, the new one, Fio, the closed back, pretty insane. Slightly engaging. Fio has been consistent with that type of sound signature, and I'm like a headphone at this point of time. You can just blindly trust and go with that because they know what they're doing when it comes to good closed back headphones. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Vivek. ऑफलाइन लॉसलेस सॉन्ग सुनने के लिए कौन सी ऐप सबसे अच्छी है?
I'm guessing if you have an Android, there's the app called USB Audio Player Pro, and on the freemium side, you've got at least the free app. You've got Hy-Vee Music Player, which does a very good job. If you have like DAX and all of that, it's got this USB exclusive modes, and even Hy-Vee has nice EQ implementation. They have their own MSCB, which allows you to tweak sound in a very unique way that you don't find anywhere else. So yeah, USB Audio Player Pro if you want the best performance processing, all of that, and Hy-Vee Music Player Pro if you want a free app, free solution. Agreed.
All right, we have a
I'm not
question.
so sure about iOS.
Yeah. Android user here as well. So.
All right, we have a question from Instagram. The SimGot EW200 or the KZ ZS10 Pro 2, which is better?
I mean, depends on the music that you listen to. Both are good at what they do. The EW200, it's
200 or 300?
you mentioned 200 or 300?
200.
Yeah. The EW200 is bright, but it's the mid-range that is the talking point here. Very rich on the natural side. And secondly, the imaging is pretty precise on it and one of the widest staging in this price range. I don't think any other IEM does a better job. So people listening to classic, traditional and regional music, I would say EW200 is like by far one of the best IEMs out there. And ZS10 Pro 2? Yeah. With the tuning switches and everything, and that engaging sound, again, EDM listeners, hip hop, anything that is engaging, rock, all of that is pretty much for those set of people.
Okay, we have a question from YouTube. Hi guys, please talk about the Tangchim Bunny.
I've not tried it, but I know the hype. I know how crazy it's going online. But I don't think any of us here have got a chance to listen to it. Tangent is something we want to do down the line. But yeah, fingers crossed. What's next?
Any budget open back headphones that also gives out some bass?
Budget open back, and you want bass. Not really. The FT5 used to exist. This was one of those planars which had like a warmer tuning. But you have to understand that when you have an open back headphone, it gets very hard to have that bass shelf. Most will have a very linear bass curve, so dead flat, nothing that's pumping up more bass than a flat line essentially. In the higher end you have your Dan Clarks and all that with their very unique tech doing it, but in the lower end this is going to be very hard to find. So FT5, I guess it's discontinued, but if anything, Fio is your best bet for their next releases or whatever. They might come out with a warmer bodied kind of open back.
I mean, if you ask me, I would say the FT1 Pro is there at the moment. It's fairly at the starting point only, not too expensive, and it's fairly at the budget end. Pretty engaging. And to some extent, I would even consider the Edition XS because of its extended low end. You feel it just fills up the room. So overall, it's balanced, but yeah, primary will be FT1 Pro and then the Edition XS.
All right, we have a question from Tejas. 0.75 mm versus 0.78 mm connectors. Why 0.75 mm connectors are less, and does it cause any issue in future?
They're two very different connectors. They might look the same. You might even be able to fit a 7.8 into a 7.5. But it's the QDC part you want to pay attention to. The pins are recessed for these KZ 0.75 connectors, and I know people, they like to get a standard 2-pin, a 7/8 and put it into their KZ, but KZs usually wire their IMs reverse, the positive and the negative. So you're messing the wiring there, and you're not going to have issues with getting loose or whatever. What you're going to have an issue if you put a 7/8 into a 7/5 is that it can bend and break easily. So if you have those QDC connector IMs, whether it's a KZ, a caster, whatever, you want to get a cable with QDC, you want to get a 0.78 cable, because that's kind of protected. It's sheathed around the pins, and the pins don't have that weak point if you put a 7/8 into it. So always kind of respect the spec sheet, and if you have an IM with 7/8, get a 7/8 cable. And if you have an IM with 7/5, get that QDC cable.
Alright. We have a question from Kishore. What about the Meze 105 Air regarding bass in continuation with previous question about open backs with bass? Thanks.
So good question. Good you brought up Meze. Meze is one of the few brands that managed to do this. They have this philosophy of giving you a more exciting, more colored kind of sound, right? They're not doing your standard hi-fi man Odyssey approach where everything is studio grade. So if you're looking for a fun V-shaped, not V-shaped I would say, but something with good bass, Meze is a good headphone to bring into the picture. But you also want to consider that the 105 series, whether it's the Silva or the Air or even the 119, these have that treble push forward too. So people chasing bass, you want to understand that even the treble is pushed forward, and that may or may not suit your liking.
I mean, another thing about Mezes are the mid-range are quite well present in there, and that is very rarely you get to see in headphones which are quite engaging or energetic or has that low end extension. So if someone or if music includes or involves a lot of melodies, vocals and instruments along with good low end presence, Meze is generally a good one. As mentioned earlier with the FT1 Pro, the mid-range kind of it feels a bit recessed, but yeah, if you have preference in mid-range along with low-end extension, then yeah, Meze 105 Air makes sense. It does.
We have a question from Adrian. Best powerful non-battery DAC to power hard to drive headphones on 3.5/6.35 mm.
I mean,
Yeah,
Fio.
Yeah. So we have Fio's K17, Fio's QX13. These are both like monstrously powerful, almost desktop grade of amplification. But you also consider if you're doing it with a smartphone, you're pulling battery a lot.
Yes. But the QX13 is almost a watt, right? Around 950 with the external, yeah. One of the maximum that you can get out.
Not surprising, honestly, it's Fio. So
Yeah.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Can you suggest a good IM for listening to music under 5,000?
I mean, these all IMs are good, but you have to give us a bit more, right? It depends. If you ask me what would be my favorite, if you ask Sai what would be his favorite, we get different answers. But there is something out there for you that you would find the best, and maybe we would not put it as high in our list. So if you could tell us, what your library generally looks like, what you chase in music, whether it's bass notes or whether just looking for vocals to be up clear, forward, all of that, any of that would be helpful. So, but if you're asking what is my favorite or what I consider the best, it would be something like probably the KVS Cadenza, or even the Through the Blue, the second edition. I know that's, I think, priced higher than 5,000 right now, but in that lines.
I mean, to make it easier, as mentioned earlier, if you have preference in regional music, traditional music, there is EW200.
Yeah.
Something engaging, then there is a ZSN Pro 2 and Cadenza, which is like an all-rounder. So if you if you're someone who listens to multiple genre of music based on your mood, Cadenza is there. And perfectly balanced one, if you're looking for it, there's the Zero Red. So there are plenty of options out there. So it's completely subjective. You got to figure out your sound, and based on that, you'll find the best IM. So it'll be different for different person.
Alright, we have a question from Anuj on YouTube. Should I go for Moondrop Chew 2 or Tangzu Warner SG? I listen to 70s and 80s British rock and blues rock.
Interesting. I wouldn't pick either for rock. I'd pick something with you know more body in the low end. You know, to get your drums fuller sounding and something with more sparkle up top as well. Both the Warner SG2 and the Chew are more like vocal centric, I would say. So if your guys listening to pop, R&B, all of that, they'd have fun with these two IEMs. But if you're doing rock and genres like that, there is this new KZ Thunder that we just launched. So that's got that engaging low end, that's got that bass. And just like most KZs, the old school KZ approach, they put a lot of energy in the treble as well. So any genre that has these layers, you know, rock, metal, all of that, the KZ Thunder shines there.
Pretty much the same answer. I thought of the Thunder only.
Alright, we have a question from Lee on Instagram. Tell me a good DAP and amp for my Meze Elite.
Ooh. So I think since generations ago, I don't want to say that, but since the people before us also working here, the Mezes, the Elites, the Empyreans have always been paired with chord products, right? So it's usually plugged into a Hugo TT2 and everyone says it sounds good. The thousands of people coming to Headphone Connect listen to the same exact setup and they kind of fall in love with that. So yeah, chord usually, but I'm slightly different. I'm a big fan of Burson audio. So something like the Conductor GT4 is what you could take a look at. Massively powerful this DAC amp, and I believe that the amplifier affects the sound more than the DAC part. I don't know, it's just maybe a personal kind of subjective thing, but with Burson you get the opportunity to change the op amps, you get to roll that and experiment and stuff like that. But on standard default you get some of the best sounding like amplification. So most of the high end stuff, whether it's the Elite, whether it's if you pick up a Odyssey or the Focals or whatever, plugging it into the Burson is always fun. That amp just opens up these headphones beautifully.
I mean, for me, it was always that chord is capable of pulling out very fine details from headphones, and Meze, fact that it has a planar and it's capable of giving out those details, and it always benefited for me at least while listening music with chord, and I don't stick with the Hugo TT2.
Yeah, but Lee's question was also that he wanted to know a good digital audio player.
DAP.
Yeah.
DAP, he said. Oh, we misheard.
I thought you said DAC and amp.
Yeah, sorry.
But DAPs.
DAPs, it gets tough, with headphones like these that demand good amplification. You'd find that DAPs, maybe plugging into them and just draining your battery. There are of course DAPs with desktop mode and stuff. And I never picture you using an Elite on the go where you need to be unplugged and draining the battery. But there are powerful DAPs out there. The Aston Khan series. So right now I think the Khan Ultra is what is selling. So something like that is where you want to start looking at, but I don't think these will do nearly enough justice to the Elite. So yeah.
What do you think of the M27 along with that?
That's kind of cheating. That's basically a desktop grade product. So the thing is massive. You're not going to put that in any pocket. It's called a DAP, yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't actually qualify to be called a DAP. But it's a solid piece of equipment.
Okay, we have a question from Edwin on Instagram. How is the 02 for stage IEM for a vocalist?
I wouldn't rate it highly for a vocalist. I think it's leaning on that bassy or darker side, right? So vocal presence is tamed down. You'd have more fun with the original 0, the 01s, or the Truthier gate. Both are very good for vocals. The bass is subdued, the vocals are pushed forward. So if you want to hear yourself cut through everything else, these are two IEMs.
Yeah. I mean, 02 is something specifically I would say a drummer would enjoy.
Correct, yeah.
So vocalist, I think I agree with what he says. Yeah, gate or the 0.
And also, could you recommend anything better?
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, already.
Right.
Way ahead of you.
I have a question from Sarthak. I ordered red lions from Tangsu. They are too big for average ear canals.
Really? So I don't know. I wouldn't say average ear canals, but yeah, oftentimes we find people, outliers would find these ions are meant to be universal, right? So it's average of most of the population and should fit them. But of course, if you find that stuff like uh, the red line doesn't fit you, uh, you can go for options like the moon drop, which is more compact, and maybe one or two other IMs out there. But I would suggest if you are in Mumbai, near Mumbai, you can always walk and try out these stuff, or visit one of our Headphone Connect shows. And if you're one of the people who find most IMs uncomfortable or too big for you, the best thing to do is to try them out yourself, because we sitting here will not be able to judge, the canal length and all of that. You don't want to get into that.
I mean, the only way to help yourself out at the moment is, I would say, try playing with the ear tips to see if you could get a better fit. With the smaller ones or the bigger ones, could be anything. So yeah, just play around and see. If that doesn't work, then we have the experiential ear. You can visit us.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. What about would be an actual sonic upgrade from One AR 5000? Sorry.
I mean, depends. If you're looking at the dynamic side, I don't think. But in the planar, you'll find a good upgrade over this. Probably something like the Edition XS. Or I mean, there's nothing mentioned when you say upgrade. You could go 2 folds, 3 folds in budget. But yeah, I would say.
So I'd say if you've never experienced a planar and you've been doing dynamics, or maybe the On is your only headphone so far, a jump from a dynamic to a planar is always a big upgrade. So right now you can take advantage of the sale and you'll find the Ananda Stealth, which used to be something retailing at 65,000. Right now it's around 30,000. So Hi-Fi Man slash prices like crazy in sale times. These headphones just fly off shelves. So consider something like the Ananda. It's not much more expensive than the On-Air, but I'd say it's a big step up in sonic quality. You're getting better staging, you're getting better low-end response, everything. Every field you're just getting an upgrade.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Hi, I wanted to upgrade from my Truth Ear Clinical Zero Red. I'd like something which has good bass.
I mean,
So depends on how much you want to spend. I think the few basic items. The first would be the Unicron that we just released. So this is more of that mid-bass kind of tuning, the more punch, the most kick you want. So your drums, all of that sound fuller. If you're more of a EDM sub-bass kind of guy, you have options like say the quartet that was mentioned earlier. You have the 7 Hz legato, but that's I think overkill with the bass. So yeah, it depends. Good bass, and people just want extreme amounts of bass, so you want to make that distinction first. But I would say that something like the Unicron would give you that rich bass, but not the kind of mudding up anything. So
he was using the Zero Red earlier, right?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, on the side note, even the EW300, specifically the HBB edition. I mean, obviously Unichrome is right there, but on a side note, if you need good mid-range bases as well, I've been enjoying the EW300, specifically the HBB edition for quite some time. I've been listening to EDM, and yeah, honestly one of the best items that is there out there. The tri-bridge setup does a good job.
Alright, we have a question from YouTube. I bought Duno Falcon Ultra recently. What tag would you suggest minimum to get the best out of it? I want its full potential. I was thinking about the BTR 11 FIO.
So yeah, we are not the biggest fans of Bluetooth, and when you get a very high-end IEM, you don't want to bottleneck it with something like Bluetooth compression. I know your first instinct will be LDAC and all of the high-res codecs, but it's going to have compression, right? It's going to be lossy. It's not going to give you the entire picture. So go wired for starters, and go with something that, at least in my experience, I find DACs with inbuilt volume, like fine, precise volume control, those benefit a lot because you be able to battery management, all of that, and just give the DAC all the information possible and then control that further. So something like the what is the Moondrop Dawn Pro, the iBasso, Macaron, stuff like that would be the kind of entry point for such a good idea.
I mean,
The bare minimum at least.
even something which is like one thing or one DAC that just hit the spot for me when it comes to performance and look wise and the nature of it, with how compact it is, the melody.
Oh yeah, Snow Sky.
Snow Sky melody. So
lovely wooden finish.
exactly. So even that's pretty insane, and you'll benefit with the IL that you have right at the moment. So,
I thought you were going to say AP6.
uh,
Does it have volume?
yes, but still.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Truth here, Hexa versus Pure. I'm upgrading from Truth here Gate and would like a similar signature.
So if you're doing similar, then it's the Hexa. Because
Yeah.
the Hexa leans on that leaner side. So there's lesser presence in that bass. That there's no. It doesn't sound full and punchy and all of that. It's leaner. It gives more chance for the vocals to shine just like the Gate. So I think the founder of Truth here described it very aptly. It's like people who listen to Western music, who want your drums and all of that forward, would go for something like the Pure, and people who listen to Eastern music, where K-pop, J-pop, where you'll have female vocalists screaming their lungs off, will listen to something like the Hexa. But you can often find there's a kind of paradox there as well. You don't want your vocals to be too sharp if you're listening to Eastern music. Then the Pure comes into the picture, and maybe the people who are listening to Western mastered songs where drums are pushed more forward will like the Hexa. So to answer your question, not get sidetracked, Gate, and the next step is the Hexa, and the next step is the Blessings, something like that, right? So yeah, I think the Hexa will suit you.
I mean, to be very honest, he'll pretty much spoil himself with the staging that the Hexa has. I remember when it was first introduced, it broke the market just because it had like a very wide staging and very good and precise imaging. So if you're going for Hexa, be ready. One of the clearest, cleanest sound. So yes.
Alright, we have another question from Instagram. How much improvement will I notice after moving from Onyx Alpha Z1 using with iPhone to a Hi-B R4 DAC?
I don't think there will be an improvement, right? So I don't know. It's people wrongly associate with spending more money on a DAC means it's going to sound better than a DAC. But you have to understand you're spending money for the whole big screen. You're seeing the operating system, the memory inside, all of those features inside. Whereas when it comes to a dongle, an external DAC, you're just spending for the DAC and the amplification chip inside. So it's probably more or less the same, or some people might even say the Onyx will sound better. So I don't know. What do you think?
Very, very subjective in nature, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from YouTube. What would be the starting point for setting the EQ for a FIO JD10 IEM? I like having thumping bass and good mids. I can sacrifice the treble if it helps to improve the latter.
So JD10, if you've got like the Type C, just click those two buttons, you'll get 3 or 4 or 5. I think there's six. Okay, there's 6 different EQ options. So that's the starting point for you, right? To actually figure out what you end up enjoying, without going into the technical part of getting an equalizer and experimenting and stuff like that. So that should be a start. But if you visit the Indian Audiophile Forum, some time ago I posted a guide on EQ. You can always read up on that. And if you have more questions after reading that, you want to understand EQ more, always feel free to use that thread, ask questions. I'm more than happy to respond.
I mean, when it comes to EQ, there's no hard set rule for anything. So whatever
Yeah.
you end up liking,
You mostly do it by ear, but
Yeah.
I guess the people want a kind of guide to know what exactly where to start with. So it makes sense, the question.
Alright, the best alternative to Truth here Hexa in the same or less budget.
the exact, or I think Tanzu has something called the Schwan Envy, this beautiful red IEMs with the butterfly faceplate. I think it's a HV collab again.
Yeah.
So this is like the Hexa but with dynamic drivers. So if you're one of those guys who prefer one stamp over the other, that will make sense. But I don't think there's going to be anything more affordable, because you have to understand that the Hexa is already called the baby blessings. So so you're getting a blessing but for something much more affordable. But now to get the Hexa's performance in something even more affordable, that's where things get tough. So
although there is, I guess, I mean, not to complete extent, but the XT01. To some extent, you get the performance there, but yeah, again, you don't. It's not an improvement, but you will see what cuttings are there. But again, yeah, it's pretty flat and a wider staging there, and yeah, good separation. So yeah, does the job.
Also, we have a follow-up question by the same guy. How to use Squiglink? We need a tutorial on Squiglink. Please make a video on that.
there's a lot you can do with Squiggling. You know, just compare, what your next purchase is. You can also use the crazy EQ features and try and demo IEMs to a certain extent, which you don't actually own. So yeah, it will be a big project. I think we are also working on having our own Squig at some point this year. So yeah, good idea. We will definitely try and do a video or make an article or two on Squiggling.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Is the Snowfax Mini Eco worth buying?
I think he means Snow Sky Echo Mini. But yeah, take it away.
Could you repeat the question? What is the snow?
Is it worth buying?
I mean, just to start off for an audio player, pretty insane. I mean, it's just and the first is the nostalgia factor. That retro cassette look that it has, and secondly, the fact that you can just have a player in your pocket on the go, and I mean, one good update that it has, you can use it as a DAC as well. But keeping that aside, as a player, just to start off with your, if you're planning to build up your library, it's pretty insane. So you can go ahead with that.
I'd simply say if you just have an SD card liner
Yeah.
with music inside, get the Echo Mini without second thought. It's insane what Fear has done. There won't be any regret that there's no other competition for the Echo Mini right now. We don't find any other brand doing something similar. It's just Fear, I just Snow Sky. That may release something down the line that's competitive. But right now the Echo Mini is just killing it.
Alright, we have a question from YouTube. Presently, I own the Chew 2 DSP and want to upgrade to sub 10K. Defiant, Explorer, Kotori Audio, Vampire, or Meze Alba, or anything you suggest. I mostly listen to Bollywood songs and Indian music.
I mean, you probably read all the marketing for the Defiant, so you know who we both are going to say Defiant. But great shortlist. I think something like the Vampire, I'd say, is very much on that warmer side. So if you're looking for a very different signature from the Chew, Vampire makes a lot of sense. But I would suggest if you're looking for you enjoyed the Chew, you enjoyed the sound signature of the Chew, and you're looking for an upgrade in details and technicalities, there is nothing better than the Defiant in that price range at the minute. You have to extend another 5K to get something better.
I mean, it more or less just feels like a refined version of the Chew 2. Bit more control, better transient response, everything sounds tight, it gets accurate. So yeah, for me at least it's refined.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. I'm using the Hi-Fi Man Ananda Stealth Magnet version headphone.
Okay.
I want to upgrade for Hindi Bollywood.
So, generally speaking, from my observation, right, the people who like Hi-Fi Man, who own Hi-Fi Man, when looking for upgrades, end up with getting another Hi-Fi Man, because the value for money this brand offers is just insane. People can take huge dumps on their QC and whatever, but just sound quality wise, and if you don't mind, you cross that hurdle of maybe getting a risky QC or whatever that. I don't think that's an issue so far, at least now in this time period. Earlier maybe Hi-Fi Man had terrible QC, But if you cross that hurdle, you'll find that these hi-fi mans, especially the newer, the Unveiled series, those will be upgrades. So we've just heard stuff like the Ananda Unveiled today for the first time. Phenomenal headphone, right? So your upgrade will be in that lines. I think something like the Arya Stealth, which has got a price drop, or something like the Ananda Unveiled is something you can consider in those lines.
I mean, just adding to that, it's difficult to move away from hi-fi man. Obviously, firstly, it's a value for money, and secondly, being a planer, how effortlessly easy it is to drive them. Because if you talk about an upgrade, you can't move from a planar to something dynamic. You need a planar, and looking at other brands, if you'll go, you need a good DAC and amp setup also for it. So that comes in as an extra cost.
Correct.
So yeah, sticking to hi-fi man is the only way, and yeah, as I said, Ananda Unveiled, pretty insane. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we have a question from Instagram. Hey, my device is Redmi K50i and its 3.5 jack sounds 10 times better than the DD Hi-Fi DAC when used with my Truth Here Zero Bluetooth. Why does this happen? Isn't the DAC supposed to make the sound more immersive?
Again, this is that gets into the very subjective directly, but sometimes phones like this which have a 3.5 might have which Shruti you said?
The Zero Bluetooth.
Yeah, so this might have like different output impedance factors. A quick test you could do is you just see if you prefer the Zero Bluetooth with the impedance adapter or without the impedance adapter. If you like it with the impedance adapter and you notice that you like the plugged it into your phone directly, it's probably that your phone's output impedance is it's slightly high, so that additional bass maybe sounds better to you. But otherwise, yeah, it could be other factors like internally within the phone, the 3.5 is tuned different, it's got that shiny sound, Dolby sound or whatever, and maybe that is what you end up enjoying. No harm in that. People like that, some people hate that or whatever. It's your earphones, it's your mobile at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I the more or less feel it's the internal EQ only which is playing around and he's enjoying that sound.
could be.
So yeah.
Okay, we have a question from YouTube. Was planning to buy the FIO JT7 this Raghav sale, but I am confused if my auricular Spark will be able to drive these as they are planars, and if not, will the J-Cali X Clinical AP6?
The AP6 will definitely
Yeah.
drive the JT7.
I don't think the auricular spark is stable.
What's next?
Which is the best balanced slash neutral sounding IEM under 10K for listening to Bollywood songs and English pop songs for treble sensitive people?
Defined. I mean, yeah, pretty easy answer. Defined. Another reason we like it is because the treble is insanely smooth, and in a team of people, average age is like 20, 22. Everyone's a bit treble sensitive. Everyone finds that harsher IEMs just doesn't work for longer periods. So that's why we love the Defiant a lot, and we wanted to have a very special edition of the Defiant, which is only available here. So I think that's a solid IEM.
Yeah, I mean I've been thinking of any other IM in there, but I feel like it's still defined only. Yeah, neutral balance, crazy good, good extension in the low end, but yeah, the treble is something that, and I agree with this point as well with the people being on the younger side and being treble sensitive. I've never seen anyone complain about it in the office, at least up until now.
I think the other option I could bring up would be Apple's Explorer. On the sale, I think it falls inside 10K, but otherwise it's usually 12K or something like that. So that is something you can consider. But you want to know that this is slightly colored. It's got more bass than neutral.
Sounds a bit dark.
Yeah.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Better IEM than Hexa under 15,000 without heavy bass, need soulful vocals and details under 15,000.
So there's the Kotori Audio Zephyr, which honestly pretty much does the job. In fact, I had an auditor yesterday. It was a stage performer who was indeed a vocalist, and she tried almost like 10-15 IMs before that, and the IM that just hit the spot for her was the Sapphire. So yeah. Honestly feel like the overall presentation is quite well. It's more or less back. I won't say it's neutral, but it's very much on the balance side. You get a bit of body, there is presence, but vocals are the talking point here, and the separation which is there in the mid range is pretty insane. So Zephyr is there. That's a top pick. You have anything?
No, I'd agree. I'd say. So Hexa upgrade path is pretty easy.
Yeah.
So you want these IMs that don't have that extra bass or just bass that colors everything.
Yeah.
Zephyrs is one of the only thing with the Zephyr as a disclaimer is that you want to be careful with the fit. This is an IM that very uniquely designed, so you'll have to experiment with the ear tips. You'll have to tip roll all of that, and only once you get that good fit, it's going to sound full and complete. Others just sound very bright to most people.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. Twist Tora, D minor or cadenza?
I haven't heard the D minor as much, but
I mean, D minor is right in between like a very V-shaped IM and a U-shaped IM, so it has got that energy, but the mid-range presence is there. And secondly, one thing that comes in handy with the D minor is the nozzles that it has. But when I tried them, it didn't make a lot of difference. It was like playing with the EQ and just moving around with the sliders by a dB or so. But comparing it with cadenza, cadenza is a very versatile IM in my opinion, and it just fits for almost every other genre. So even if it's a blind pick, cadenza is the one to go. And yeah.
yeah, for me, D minor just didn't fit well. It's the unique kind of shell they have. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time with it. But yeah, wouldn't be a fair judge.
We have another question from Instagram. Could you suggest a pair of budget-friendly studio headphones?
So mainly, if he's not mentioned anything more than that, when it comes to studio, I guess if you're on the budget, not looking to spend a lot, you'd go for a closed back. And then you have sets like the 7506 with Silubs a lot. You have the Moondrop set, which is the Joker. This may be a little bit more forward in the vocals than most reference-grade headphones, but nevertheless, it's a fantastic set, nicely done, good accessories, good build quality, all of that. So these two, I'd say, the 7506 from Sony and the Moondrop Joker would be the sets to go for a studio.
I mean, ideally for me, the 7506 just hits the spot is because when you're ending up using a headphone in studio, it's not going to be a short session. So you're going to end up using it for like, on a single go, you'll be using it for 4 hours, 5 hours, or maybe even like 7 to 8 hours.
Correct.
So you need something which is on the comfortable side and it's not that heavy. And 7506, when it comes to that comfort and the clamp force and the weight distribution that it has, it just checks the boxes. And yeah, when it comes to sound, Sony has been there. In fact, it is there in the market for the past 3 decades, I guess. So the same headphone without any update. So you can understand if there's no update and it's running for the past 30 years, it has to be one of the best headphones out there.
Alright. We have a question from Instagram. Still waiting for your opinion on the M21. Can you explain the sound signature of the Cirrus Logic Quad DAC? Is it better than the Hy-Vee R4?
And I hoped initially when we were about to get the M21, it's going to be a very warm set, or initially assuming the fact that it had a Cirrus Logic chip inside it. But it's fairly on the cleaner side, very transparent, no coloration at all, not playing around a lot. And yeah, not much to talk about. Apart from that, EQ and everything is there, but yeah, ideally out of the box, fairly on the cleaner side. Do you have anything?
I mean, nothing about the sound, it's a DAC after all. But everything else, right, the accessories wise, that retro case, the cassette UI tape mode and other, I think the Fio is just more fun to use than the R4.
Alright, we have a question from Adrian.
Again,
The Odyssey Maxwell versus the Edifier Stax Spirit S5.
he'll tell us, we've not tried his edifier.
Can you please tell, should I go for the K11 or the KA17? I mostly listen on my desk.
So you said K11.
KA17 and K11. Yeah.
Depends what is connected.
If it's mostly on your desk, then get the K11, KA11. Sorry, K11, which is the desktop based one. So plug it into what you'll get more power, and if you're doing headphones and all of that, it's better to get than the KA17.
Okay, we have a question from YouTube. Any good ones under 4000? Please tell me which IEMs have the best low, mid, or high sound, such as clear bass, clear mids, or clear highs.
I missed the first part. Could you repeat?
Need something on 4K basically.
Good IEMs under 4000,
Okay.
which have the best low, mid, or high sound.
I mean, I think I've mentioned it a couple of times. One of the versatile IMs that is out there is cadenza, and within 3K or within 4K, that has to be the one. And honestly speaking, I don't think there's any other in 4K which does everything or is like a versatile set. Yeah, so cadenza for me.
Okay. Hi, suggestion for combination of bass heavy IEM and DAC under 6K.
Uh, Bass heavy IMs. Bass heavy
So you want to start off with something like the caster. KZ have such a way of doing things is that there's not going to be any competition, at least if you add $2,000 or $3,000 to the set. So they're the only people giving you 2 dynamic drivers in that 2-3K range. Then you have to pay 6K for a zero Bluetooth. So if you can, I'd say the zero Bluetooth is a much more refined set, and adding that impedance adapter would give you that bass that you're chasing. And then you have to pay an additional $1,000 or whatever for the DAC. But if you don't want to stretch the budget, something like the caster with some of these DD Hi-Fi DACs, that's 2K or whatever, that would work very well.
Yeah. There's nothing really that combined adds up to 6K, honestly. So starting off with Caster Pro with the base edition and a decent DAC, maybe you can save up that money, and when you're planning to get an upgrade, you can add that money to your next upgrade and you can get something even better. So you can think about that. So you can start off with something like the Caster Pro along with the DDFI RS DAC, and you should be good for that.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. I listen to various genres of music, and how well will Orivetti X Headphone Zone will work?
We have a couple of collabs with Orivetti, and we have a couple more that will be launching soon as well. So if you're talking about the Blackbird, I'd say this is one of those more fun colored IMs. So this is more for your hip hop heads, maybe even your metal and stuff like that. I'd say similar deal with the OD200 if that's what you're mentioning. This is going to have that body in the bass, and it's going to push a little more excitement up top in that level. So works very well for metal and rock, all of that stuff. But we will be launching more collabs with Orivetti down the line that should suit more people. So stay tuned for that.
Also, I don't know how I missed it, but for the last question also, the Blackbird comes into the picture. Maybe if we can wait a while, we can get the G11, and that is a 1,000 rupee DAC. We can pair the Blackbird along with the G11, and when that comes up to 6K, so that works out.
Hi Sai, I am currently looking for an upgrade in IEM's budget of 5000. My previous IEMs were the FIO JDT, Tangzu Warner, and the KZ Caster. Please suggest a good one in the 5000 budget range.
I mean, more or less he has V-shaped or engaging IEMs. The next best thing that you can go is something like the ZS10 Pro 2 and get the DDI5 RS. More or less he must be having a DDI5 RS stack. So within 5K, either the ZS10 Pro X if he needs a bit more body. The ZS10 Pro 2 is like a refined version of it.
Alright, we have a question for you guys. What do you personally use at home and at work? Please share.
You want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I have my first IM was back in 2018. I got the ZSTX. That is the IM that I got started off with. I still have those. I have just switched the cables twice, but I still have the IM shells. I remember when I had come for the interview, I got those. And after that, I've got the Holas, and I'm not someone. I mean, it makes sense when I have the whole library. There's no point in getting one for myself. So I have just those two IMs. I've got the EW300 HBB edition as well. My brother uses it apparently. And when it comes to headphones, I have the MDR 7506. I honestly didn't switch anything from it because I use it to make music. And that is the reference headphone for me, and I usually don't listen to any other headphone for longer periods of time because then I lose the sense of sound. So for me, headphones, I've stuck with the 7506.
So for me, I think some of you already know I kind of swear by the Truth Nova. Been my daily driver for like 2 years plus now. And when I'm in the office, I don't use the Novas. They're always sitting in my bag or in my pocket. I pull out a lot of different stuff. So in the rotation is generally something like right now it's probably the Moondrop's Dark Saber. I'm a big fan of Noble's Shogun because of that bone conduction, all of that bass slamming into you. In the headphone world, I like the LCD5. I like the Arya Unveiled from IFM and stuff like that. Whenever I get the time and the space and all of that patience to set up an E-Stat, the Carbon 2 is what I love listening to as well.
I mean, I missed out the office listening sessions. I mean, I am a big fan of the FX17. So since the day, FIO FX17, since the day we got the unit, it has been in rotation with either me or Karan. I still have it on my table now. And that has been my go-to IM, and also I enjoy a good number of 64 audio IMs. So there's a U18T, which is honestly my other go-to IM. And coming to headphones,
Edition XS.
Edition XS is there. Then I've been loving the Arya Organic for quite some time now, and whenever I get chance,
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been sneaking in some time in between whenever I get the chance to listen to the HE1. So
Nice flex.
yes.
All right. Hey, can you tell me a good EQ software for fine tuning the IEMs?
We have to know what platform you're on, but generally speaking, on Windows, it's called Equalizer APO. People like putting PC APO as an add-on for better UI. If you're on Android, there is Power Amp EQ, and there is Wavelet. Wavelet only supports graphic EQ, but it's far more easier for most people to understand. Yeah, you want to stick to these. I'm not aware if iOS supports global EQ, so iOS always has issues like this.
I mean, I've always been against EQ, so I don't know why, but it just affects I feel it affects the overall. To some extent, I feel if you EQ it a lot, it somehow affects the staging and you feel things to be cramped then when you try to fit in based on your preferred sound signature. What I ideally say to people is you have that option to have conversation with us. If you have an option to select out of the wide library and choose the one that fits your preference, it's better to not tune it later on. So.
All right, we have 10 minutes more, so we just have a few more questions. How are the Meze 99 Classics 2 compared to the 99 Classic original?
So overall, they've gone for that similar Meze sound, right? But they made slight refinements. There were people who complained that maybe the bass of the original Classics is too loose, it just bleeds into everything else. I think they've done a good job in tightening that up. So they kept the bass in control, but it's still not done in such a way that if you like the Classics, you'd see that, oh, suddenly that this just doesn't hit the spot anymore. So they managed to kind of, please both crowds, I'd say, which is very unique from Meze. And treble performance, I'd say, has gotten a bit better than the 99 Classics. I used to find the 99 Classics harsh on some tracks, but the V2 or the Gen 2, whatever they're calling it, doesn't have that issue. So overall, I feel like, there's lots of steps in right directions. It's still a meze by heart. It's still that colored sound that most meze fans love. And everything else is the same, right? Whether it's your comfort, the good looks, all of that, it's still meze.
I mean, honestly, I feel like they did a mistake is they set the bar too high, right, with the 99 Classic the first time. So, I mean, by no means the second variant or second gen is bad. It's just, for me at least, it felt like a refined version of it. But again, yeah, I would say they set the bar too high, but yeah.
All right, we have a question from both platforms. Bro, I need an IEM through which I get used to listen the mixes for reference so that I can identify my mix is good or not. Hexa versus the IE200, Sony 7506 versus the MX50 versus the DT770 Pro.
Take this away.
I mean, in IEMs, I generally feel with the IE200s, one problem with them is the treble just gets out of control in messy tracks. So that's one problem, and the transient response or else the control that Hexa has, it's just always a primary preference for me. So within IEMs, it has to be the Hexa. And being a 7506 user, I don't think I'll go to anything else. I've tried the M50X, I think. You mentioned it wrong there, but yeah, M50X, the Audio Technica. The problem there is, it just sounds a bit too thin for me. And what I've done with the 7506 is that I've gotten pads which are extra thick, so that we've got extra padding to it. So that just brings in extra room and just makes the headphone sound a bit more bodied and brings the treble in control. So, and yeah, as explained before, 7506 is an industry standard headphone. So not only the sound, there are other factors as well, comfort and the weight distribution, the fact that within half an hour you just forget that you're wearing a headphone. So yeah, for longest listening sessions, everything is good with the 7506.
I mean, kind of age-old question, M50X or just 770, and then it was a 7506. But you can read endlessly online about these three headphones.
Yeah.
But personally, I'd say I find that biodynamics very bright. The 770's got that big peak somewhere up top. It just sounds like someone stabbing you. The Audio Technica for me is just, don't have issues with the sound quality. It's more the build, the clamp force, and that plasticky, creaky feeling that never escapes you. It's just very bothersome. 7506 is much more, I'd say, it's hard to pick flaws with that headphone for the price they're asking. So, easy choice for me, 7506.
Alright, we have a question from Instagram. The Mojo 2 Plus Poly versus the iFi Griffin XDSD.
So Poly is adding your wireless streaming, it's adding an SD card, it's adding a DLNA, all of that stuff, AirPlay. So I don't see the comparison because Griffin just has Bluetooth. So if that's the case, if you're just comparing the Mojo and Griffin, then obviously it's age-old that you want the slightly warmer kind of sound, you want the richer body musical kind of sound, you go for the Griffin, that burr brown thing that they do, and that X-Space button which adds more flavor. But if you're looking for technical performance, you're looking for some of the best staging, imaging, all of that, there's nothing better than Mojo in that range.
Yeah, very precisely explained. I mean, as mentioned before as well, Chord has that ability to bring out fine details with anything that you connect to. So if you're looking for precision, clean, transparent sound, Mojo is there. But if you're looking for that colored sound to enjoy the music the way you like it, and with the fact that you have that customization there, the X-Space, all of that, then Griffin.
Alright, for our final question, will the Defiant be an upgrade from the Hexa in terms of technicalities and also a little for bass?
I wouldn't say upgrade in technicality. See, there's trade-offs, right? The Hexa goes for something very technical, something very, very treble focused, something very, very vocal focused. But you're losing out on low-end performance. So I'm not the biggest fan of the bass of the Hexa. I find it's a bit too lean at times, and maybe that sub bass rumble is not enough on some tracks. But everything else is like top notch with the XR. The Defiant, I'd say it's slightly a step back in technical performance, but you're getting a more complete IM, you're getting more all-round IM. So bass sounds way more natural on the Defiant. Vocals are just upfront, clear. Doesn't sound like it's too forward, like sometimes it can on the XR, where it's an automatic result of having like leaner mid-bass ranges. The vocals tend to get pushed more forward. So yeah, upgrade in the sense that it's more all-round. It's not like jack off one trade, that kind of thing.
Alright, you guys want to say something before we end this session?
I don't know. It's I think the last few days of the sale, so I hope everyone's got the deals they were chasing after. Stuff is running out of stock soon. We're seeing it by the minute, and yeah, Headphone Connect, like I said, is coming soon. So see some of you guys in Mumbai, and followed by the rest of the cities. Other than that, I think we should see each other next week doing the same AMA. So if we didn't manage to answer any of your questions today, make sure you ask them next week. Make sure you reach out to, if you're looking to talk to an Headphone Zone. We're always there on the website. Just one button click away. Alright? Zai?
I mean, not much. Thanks for keeping us busy this week. But yeah, apart from that, as you mentioned, grab the equipment that you plan on getting before it goes out of stock. Takes quite some time to get back in stock. There's obviously the Chinese New Year coming in between, so getting them back in stock is obviously going to take time. So yeah, enjoy, listen to music, and until next week.
Alright, thank you guys so much. We got very good response to the sale as well, so thanks again for that. And yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.